It is time for another episode of the podcast of Still. And on this episode, my very special guest is an artist all the way in Holland, a gentleman whose work I've appreciated for many years and am now a proud owner of some of that art. Dennis Baptiste, welcome to the podcast of Still, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for having me.
No, I've been looking forward to this. I know you have as well. You mentioned this is your first podcast. I don't think it will be your last either. The questions will not be hard hitting. Don't worry about that. This is just going to be a nice, laid back chat where I really, quite selfish of me, I want to learn more about the artist. I'm a big fan of your art, but I want to know more about the person that helps this art happen. So, as always, as I like to hear from my guests, what is your origin story, as it were, Dennis?
My origin story. Well, I assume you mean the way I got into art, right? The
Yes, so
drawings.
if your life was a comic book movie and you were just focusing on the highlights, where would it all begin for
Sometimes.
you, Dennis?
Um, well, to be fair, I've been drawing for just as long as I can remember, really, and so I couldn't give you a specific point like where I started. But my father once told me that when I was really young, he would take me on his lap and we would draw like stick figures together or cartoons and stuff like that. And he once told me that ever since we did that together, you went straight to the dining table and you were just drawing for hours and hours. You just didn't stop. And so for me, it was kind of, it was natural. It was just a thing that I loved. And I always say, if you find young children, you always see them either drawing or painting. And for me, there was never like a transition where I said, well, now I'm going to be an artist or I'm going to draw or whatever. I just never stopped. For me, it just, it was natural.
It was natural. It's good that sort of this you've got that memory of your father as well. That you just sat down, you were doodling one day, and he noticed that light inside you, that passion for art,
Yeah.
and helped develop that. And so have you? I know you've showed some of your drawings that you've shared with me. I'll be sharing those online when this podcast goes out. But I've enjoyed seeing how your art has progressed over the years. Looking back, if you were to be a very harsh critic of your work, and you saw some of your artwork today, what would your words of encouragement be to a much younger Dennis?
That's a good question. I think the key thing about doing art or anything for that matter is just to keep going. There's like 100 million drawings that you make before you sort of get into a place where you're comfortable showing your stuff and everything. But I've spent so many hours behind the drawing table. I just couldn't tell you how many. And I just couldn't stop. It was like for me, it was just a way of relaxing and clearing my mind. Even as a young kid, I just enjoyed it. And like you, I grew up in the '80s and '90s, and there was so much great stuff out there to get your imagination going. The comic books of that time, the movies and everything. And, I always say the great thing about growing up. I was born in 1985, but even in the '90s, as you know, we had so much stuff from the '80s still running on TV and everything.
Yeah.
So there was just not as much content as today. And the television series, the cartoons, and everything. It was just a great time to grow up in. And the other day, when you asked me to look for some older stuff, I just went through this whole book because my parents, they saved me a book with old drawings, just this big sort of map and I can definitely see everything. It's a lot of '80s influence, Knight Rider and the A-Team kind of stuff.
That's good. That's the good stuff that you want. I mean, yeah,
yeah.
we had a lot of good stuff growing up in the '80s. I mean, as you said,
Yeah.
there's right now fans of entertainment are spoilt for choice. There are so many different cartoons and shows to get lost in that,
Yeah.
you know, it's hard to keep up. But back then, as you said, we had to enjoy what we had. So the things that we did really love, we went full on. Like with
Oh,
your obsessions with Batman and artwork, it's
yes.
become a part of us and grown with us over the years as well. So
Def-
let's
Definitely.
talk a bit about I can see you've got a good fascination with Batman there behind you. Where did that all begin for you, Dennis? As I'm here cleaning my glasses, we're having a heat wave here in
Yeah.
the UK, and with all these
Same here in
lights
Holland.
and
Smoldering hot today.
yeah,
So,
all this tech that's going on, my face is starting to melt off. So yeah, tell me more about this Batman shelf behind you, Dennis.
well, this is up in the living room. As you can see, this is the memorial statue from the Dark Knight.
Nice.
And yeah, I didn't put this up just because of the podcast. This is just always, this is just always on
just for some
display.
Batman Superman drama. That's fine. But no, I
Yeah,
like the black and white you've got going on there. Now as an artist, I'm sure you're extremely proud of the work that you create. Do you have your own artwork framed and around your home?
I actually don't. No, I keep them in a big organizer just to make sure that they stay clean and pristine and good for customers. If they want to buy it one, so I know that nothing will happen to them. But to be fair, no, I don't go around hanging up my stuff in my living room. I do have pieces up, but they're from other artists. So no, I don't have that. No.
I say I'd be sort of quite. It's like when you sort of, if you were sort of a famous photographer and you've got friends and family coming around for dinner and you've got all
Right,
your own artwork up, but not pictures of your own family. It's quite
right.
egotistical. But what I do love about your work is that you do, it's clear to me that you are very proud of the process, the progress of creating something. I've been a fan of your Superman art that we will get to in a moment, and how you
Thank you.
share that with various communities around the world. But for you growing up, it's clear that one of your first influences was yourself and the cartoons and fandoms that you were growing up with. What other artists out there are inspiring you to continue your work as an artist?
Well, I remember like I said, I've been doing art just all my life, just drawing as a hobby because I just love it and I enjoy it. It's a part for me also to relax and just take time off. But there was a time when I was a little bit uh, into different things because when you're creative, you want to try
Hmm.
different kind of stuff. And I sort of let the art go for a couple years. And the man that really had a big influence on my sort of coming back up to try art again was Alex Ross. I think I was either in New York or in London, but I think it was a WB store as you used to
Oh,
have in
yes.
England, or it was Midtown Comics. I can't remember, but it was 2002, I think. And I turned around and I saw this big, oversized book by Alex Ross. It was the Peace on Earth or Man of
Oh,
Tomorrow. I'm not
yes.
sure what it was. And I looked at this cover and I thought, wow, is that a drawing or is that a picture or a painting? Because as we all know, Alex Ross, he's a master in sort of blending the realism and the comic book feel and everything. But I looked at the cover and I thought, wow, this is a different take on Superman. I'd never seen something like that. It was this sort of thicker, heavy, bulkier sort of portrayal of Superman.
Yes.
And he was a bit older, he had lines in his face, and well, I thought he was a lot more interesting to look at. And I opened the book and I thought, wow, this is such great work. And that sort of got me back into trying art again and to see if I could get at least an amount of that kind of style or realism that he has. And as I showed you, I tried to copy some of his pieces just to try and see how far I could get. So
As influencers go, Alex Ross is definitely up there. I've been, as you say, a fan of his work since I've been a
oh,
fan
he's
of
great,
comics, I think. And
fantastic.
that, as you said, it's hard to tell if his artwork is a photograph or a drawing. I've watched his process over the years, and how he's found people in real life that look like these characters that he creates, and that method of bringing a character to life is there, and I can definitely see that in your work. I can see that the the similarities, as it were, but you're still creating artwork in your own way. And yeah,
Yeah.
as I've happened to have a piece of Alex Ross artwork to the side of me. It's one of my things that I brought back from San Diego Comic-Con. But one day,
How was that trip? Because that looked exhausting.
it was. I'm still getting over the jet lag, Dennis. It was an amazing trip. It was
Yeah.
all planned very, very well. So every single day, minute, hour, there was a plan and action. But we also made sure to find time to relax and enjoy it, and not get too stressed or sort of overburdened with workloads. But it was an amazing trip. And one of my goals was to come back with a slabbed
Oh,
comic. This is my
that's
first ever graded comic, and
wow.
this happened by chance as I walked past the Alex Ross booth, which was full of wonderful, sort of art dealers and people that were buying artwork, and you could
Right.
buy this box from the Alex Ross booth, and in that box you were guaranteed a few things. So you were guaranteed a slabbed comic, some signed comics, some prints, but in a few of these boxes there was an original Alex Ross sketch.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know who got those ones, but I didn't. But I'm very happy with what I got, because in my box, it could have been Batman prints, it could have been Marvel prints, it could have been anything. I got a few Kingdom Come comics and that Action Comics homage in that graded foil cover with an
That
Alex
is that
Ross signature.
sorry, is that sort of laced with silver, or what is it?
Yeah, so it's very hard to photograph. So it's it's a foil copy. So I've got a couple of these which are very nice to own. All of them nice ring light there. But as soon as you pick them up, they're just covered in fingerprints. So I'm very glad that this one is in a silver, a nice plastic case.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
nice to see.
beautiful. That's going to be worth something in a couple of years.
That one's being buried with me. That one, Dennis. It's going to go. But I think for many people, Alex Ross is up there, not just because of his love for superheroes and Superman artwork. It's that style of art that has definitely
Yeah.
become his own, which was fantastic for me.
You
I
you
love.
can tell by the pieces that he does. He has there's so much dedication in his work. You know, you can really the amount of detail that he puts in, and to know that it's all drawn by hand or painted,
Yes.
I should say. It's just wonderful. It's just great. It's just a great inspiration. You know.
I can remember the first time I read Kingdom Come, and it still happens now. I can't put that book down once I start looking through the pages. And there's this possibility now of a Kingdom Come documentary, which is possibly happening. Big news was released about that at Comic-Con, which really excited me. But
I saw that. Yeah, yeah.
it's going to be an exciting time. It's one of those things. I had the great privilege of speaking with Mark Waid, one of the Kingdom Come writers, many years ago, and he said this is one of those stories that is pretty much impossible to be recreated on a film, because it is so visually astounding. But I think he's
Yeah.
hopeful that something could happen in the next few years. So I'm excited for that. For you, though, we're going back to your artwork. What was the first piece of artwork where you were sort of really, really proud of, that you really wanted to show the world, whether it was when you were younger or a bit older in life? What was the first piece that really, really made you proud of it?
The first piece. You know, there was a piece that I shared on Facebook many years ago. I think it was 10 years ago or something. It was of Walter White from Breaking Bad,
Wow.
and it was a portrait after many years of drawing, and I started back up again, and I thought, I'm going to share this online. I'm just going to put it up there, see what happens. And I got such great response from the people, from my friends and everybody, and they said, you got to do something with this. You got to show this, post this, because before I was just drawing as a hobby because I just love doing it. But that response sort of gave me a push to
Good.
sort of come out there with my work and just keep showing and keep posting. So
Wonderful.
yeah, that's where it started.
I love that. So one day I hope that there is a gallery somewhere around the world filled with your art, where your artwork
So
can
do
be
I.
hanging beside original pieces of work by Alex Ross. But for you, where would you like to see your artwork in, say, 10 years' time, Dennis?
To be honest, if I see you on the Comic Cons at San Diego, it's or in New York or wherever, I would just love to have my stuff up there and have my work portrayed. I do Comic Cons here in Holland, but the dream, of course, will be to go to America and promote my work there. I have to say, I rarely sell to the people here in Holland because I can safely say that maybe 95% of my work goes to America. So my audience is over there, and it's not surprising because they're it's their culture.
Mm.
The Batman, the Superman, the Star Wars, all the big pop culture related things, they originated in America. They have two things: they have the comic book and they have the jazz. It's American culture.
Well, I would love to see that happen more and more. A place where I love to attend. I've been to Comic Cons around the world. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I love getting lost in Artist Alley, seeing the people that have been around for decades, and they're there to
Oh, yeah.
to hang out with their friends, or if it's their first time being at a con. I love getting lost in that environment, and I would love to see you there, wherever that con may be, whether it be here in England or in America. It's to see you interacting with people that are clearly going to have their eyes grabbed by your artwork, and then the passion is going to come out of you. You're going to start talking more about these characters and this artwork, and it's it's something that I feel is in your destiny, as it were, Dennis. I love that, and
Oh, that's very kind of you to say.
it's
That's very
passionate. And the fact, this what always impresses me is the fact that English isn't your first language, but you are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. I try.
No, you're doing beautifully well. Now, I
you.
wanted to repay that favor. I've been trying to learn a little bit of your mother tongue over the
What
last
do
week.
I have?
Now, you're not here to help me. You are here to punish me if I get
Okay.
any of these words wrong. Now,
Okay, sure.
it's a famous Superman phrase.
It's not dirty work, right?
No dirty words. There's no
Okay.
swearing, religion, or politics on this podcast. It's nice and easy. Now, this did happen with the help of Duolingo and Google Translate, so please forgive me if any of this is wrong. So, to begin with, I haven't learned how these words are pronounced. I'm guessing. Kitchken, omhug in die Luft. What do you think I just said then? Because I'm sure I absolutely butchered it. Kitchken.
Kitchken?
Yes. Is that look?
Kitchken. No.
Kijken.
Kije. No.
I
No.
think Google has absolutely failed me here. Right. How about this? Omhoog. Omhoog. Does that mean up?
Omhoog. Yeah. That's
Omhoog.
what. Omhoog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Omhoog. Okay.
Omhoog.
Unweg. What would and away be enweg?
Away and gone. It's sort of yeah.
Basically, what I'm trying to translate. Yeah. Yes, you've got it. And so what else I tried to learn was it's a bird, and what I got from that is het is in vogel.
Het is een vogel. Yeah, that's right.
It's a bird. Okay, and then it's a plane is het is in vliegtuig.
Het is een vliegtuig. It's a plane.
Vliegtuig. Okay, and then it is Superman is het is Superman.
It's Superman, yeah. At the Superman.
Absolutely butchered that. I apologize to the whole of Holland.
It's not too bad for first time, actually.
I've been trying to learn languages so much over the years that language fascinates me. Don't get me wrong. If you put a Kryptonian alphabet in front of me, I can decode that. I probably wouldn't be able to speak Kryptonian, but I do love language. And sometimes what I love about art is the fact that it translates across the board. You can go to any art gallery around the world and get lost in a painting, lost in an emotion. And that is what I love about your artwork and your dedication to it, is that it creates emotion, which I believe is the definition of art.
Yeah, it's always hard because with art, especially with doing portraits, it's just unforgivable. It's like if you can do a vehicle or a dog or a cat, but
Yes.
if you're working with faces, just the slightest miscalculation, or if the nose is up too high or the eyes are too low or whatever, people are gonna see it. And for me, the challenge really is to get it as accurate as possible, but also to at the same time try to convey an emotion because it's a still image,
Oh, yes.
but still you want something out of one singular image to be said. So that's
And
always the challenge.
that is what you have done with your artwork. The first piece of art of yours that I own, and hopefully won't be the last, is one that you were very kind enough to send me. And I would like to talk a little bit about that now. Is that fantastic Christopher Reeve artwork that you sent? There will be images and videos to go along with this post, but as you said, it's capturing that emotion and the likeness and everything else that goes along with it. And it's a beautiful piece that you have shared and I have shared. And how long does a piece of artwork like that take you, sir?
I get this question a lot because I don't want to time myself,
Mm.
but because that sort of makes me nervous. But roughly a detailed portrait takes about 35 to 40 hours. You know, yeah, yeah,
But I mean, it shows because that artwork, and you've shared some fantastic Brandon Ruth artwork as well. It shows your artwork jumps off the page. And as you quite clearly said, when you were kind enough to send me some artwork, and you said, look, when you take it out of the tube, pictures and videos simply won't do it justice. It's seeing that artwork underneath artificial light or natural light. It
right.
literally it leaps off the page, and I'm still trying to find the perfect frame for it. I've got I sent a copy of this artwork as well, and that went to my good friend Paul, who went to San Diego Comic Con with me. He's also
Right.
now looking for the perfect frame. It's
Yeah.
I've been speaking with my brother-in-law. I've been speaking with professional framers. We want to make sure that the frame does the artwork justice, but also that the frame protects the art, because sometimes you can
Right.
natural
Yeah.
sunlight can damage artwork. But this artwork that you have created, it's simply amazing and needs to
Like,
be seen to be believed. I think it is. And yeah, so I think in the future, I'm hoping that more cons around the world happen for you.
so do I. But it also to just the greatest energy I get is meeting people that are a fan of something, and then they come to your stand and they just can talk with passion for hours about their character. And you get to meet just very lovely people. People who share a passion for something, and it's all the same thing at the end of the day. Right? If you're a fan of Superman or Batman or the Marvel characters, it's just all the same thing, and it's nice. It's like a contagious sort of atmosphere. That
It's
that
a very good way of putting it, and that is it. That's why I've done this podcast over the years, is because whenever you speak with somebody that is passionate about anything, whether it be
Yeah.
artwork or Batman or movies or something as unique as a lighthouse, a
Right.
light goes out in someone, and sort of
Yeah.
they come alive a little bit when they start talking about the things that they
Yeah.
love. And that's one
Yeah.
of those things where if I'm at Artist Alley preparing to buy some art or interview an artist, I often take a step back and watch the interactions between the people that are at the cons talking, oh, like this, I love this character, or I love this character, or this
Yeah.
particular film opened up a different door for me to learn more about this character. And you've
Right.
done many fandoms. I saw you share some fantastic Ian McKellen Gandalf art yesterday.
Oh yeah. 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 The Lord of the Rings pieces. I'm still looking to expand that sort of, because I made them in a small sketchbook.
Okay.
I got two pieces. I did one of Aragon that I wasn't too happy with, so I wasn't ready to share that one.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about redoing that one, and then I'm sort of looking to have those scanned and then maybe put them in my shop as well for people to buy. But yeah, so it's really I try not to. constrain myself with only Batman or Superman. It's just anything that I love, you know, that inspires me to draw something. I just try to create it. So
You know that. I mean, yes, I would love it if you were just only created Superman and Batman for the rest of your days, but I know that there is plenty more talent in
yeah,
your pencil case, as it were. And I've seen what you can do, and hopefully in the future that you share some more progress videos. You've been sharing your artwork as it goes from sort of beginning, middle to end. I would
right,
love to see you sort of sat down at your art station. I've been privileged enough to see where you create your artwork, and it is a magical setup. I can see how sometimes people want to keep those moments sort of to themselves, to have that bit of anonymity and have that safe space. But I can
right.
see how that place could fill you with inspiration. But how do you sort of get into the creative mode when you sit down at your drawing station and switch off from the world and begin to create art?
Um, that's a good question. Well, to be fair, I don't always have the inspiration to draw. It's like
Mhm.
it's not every day that I feel like doing something, unless you're working on like a commission. You know, then sometimes there's
Yeah.
you know, if you have a deadline and you say, well, this is going to be finished in 2 months or whatever, then it becomes it's a different mode. Not to say I'm less passionate about it, but it's you have sort of a motivation and a drive to finish it. So, but to be honest, there are days when I don't draw because I don't feel like it or I'm distracted with other things. But yeah, when I'm in a good mood or when I feel good, you know, the art sort of comes naturally, even if it's like just a little sketch before I go to bed, or you know, just putting up like a something small, like a composition for a new piece, or figuring things out. You know, yeah,
I do love how you just you share everything as well. You share all those processes. You share that moment where it becomes an idea, and you show different ideas. That's what I like about the fact now, obviously, with Instagram and different websites, you can add music to posts,
absolutely,
and
yeah, yeah,
and your music certainly does it does make your posts much more emotive to me when I can hear the John Williams themes or anything from the
right.
Batman universe.
That helps a lot. Yes,
It really does help,
yeah,
and I love that. And something that you've been working on recently, going back to Superman, you've been sharing some more of James Gunn's David Corenswet's interpretation of Superman and
yeah,
Lois Lane. And
yeah,
what I loved when you were sort of telling me about what you were creating, you were excited about creating different ways of recreating the Daily Planet logo. And I've loved seeing that sort of a sneak peek into the world of your art before it becomes a final piece. What was it
right.
like for you to sort of sit down and sort of study this new Superman costume and start creating work for it?
You know, it got me excited because, to be honest, I really liked Henry Cavill as Superman. You
Mm,
know, just to get that out there. But um, I wasn't too happy sometimes with the way he was interpreted as sort of a scary figure, if you know what I mean.
yes.
It was like he's Zack Snyder really, although it was a brilliant film, and not to piss off any Man of Steel fans here, but I there was a sense of people sort of being scared of Superman for some reason because he was an alien and
Mm,
his costume was sort of toned down and it was, you know, they took the undies away and all that kind of stuff. But when I saw the first pictures of Corn Sweat in the suit, it almost looked, the costume looks, first of all, it's bright, right? I mean, Superman, as you like the figure behind you, I love it when he has like bright colors.
well, we've got
Uh,
Henry there as well, just not to upset the
oh
Henry
yeah, well,
fans.
well,
It's a good it's a
demonstrates
good
my point.
contrast of colors.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. 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 So, what I love about his suit, it's like it's a vintage looking style, right?
Mm,
And it is nobody's gonna when they meet David Corden Sweat in the suit, nobody's gonna say, "Oh, that's a scary looking figure."
mm.
The costume looks even slightly naive, if you know what I mean.
Yes,
And
good way.
it harkens back to the Fleischer cartoons and all that kind of stuff. So I have a feeling James Gunn is going to do a great job because he's sort of have you seen the interviews with what's his name, Michael Rosenbaum, where he
Yes, I'm a
discusses?
big fan of the Smallville and Inside of You podcasts, and that
Yeah,
James. I was
that
waiting for that James Gunn podcast to drop, and when
yeah,
it did, I was like, okay, I've seen what he can do as a film director. Let's
yeah,
hear his thoughts on superheroes, and yeah, and that podcast
exactly.
was enlightening.
And I can tell that he has a passion for the character, and he's a massive fan of the Christopher Reeve interpretation, which is a classic, I think, and a
Yes,
standard for a lot of people. And I can see sensibilities of that movie and that kind of atmosphere. In even they're behind the set picture. We don't even have an official release yet,
no, no, we
except for
don't.
the picture in the boots. So yeah, I don't know. It looks like a good old Superman to me.
It's I mean, it's all as a Superman fan, it's always exciting when I get new Superman content, whether it be a new comic or a new film or a new hero. But for
Yeah,
some, and I've seen, as you've seen over the years, we've seen Batman and Superman and Spider-Man come and go. We know it's a cycle. They
yeah.
come and they go, they come and they go. There seems to be something a little bit different this time round with James Gunn's Superman. I'm not entirely sure what it is. I do want to throw that word hopeful out there, but it seems that James Gunn has got a relationship with Superman and not just the film as a job. There's
Yeah.
a connection there with the character for sure, and I'm excited to see that, and I'm excited to see where your artwork goes with this as well, because I know
Well,
you're
speaking of artwork,
oh
because when you told me to look up maybe some older pieces,
yes,
I went up in the attic, and this is just to demonstrate
oh wow,
How Alex Ross was sort of an influence on me
okay.
trying to do new pieces. So this, bear with me, it's an older piece, so it's
No,
nice.
this is great. This is some original Dennis Baptiste artwork. I'm excited. I'm
So
honored.
this is a Superman piece that I did based on Alex Ross's one of his paintings. This is an acrylic piece.
Dennis.
So I found this one. And
Dennis.
I haven't seen it for many years, and I actually forgot all about it. So I thought, well, maybe you'd like to see this.
I do like to see that. Please, if you can, share that online. Alex Ross does this fantastic thing where he shares his artwork as a child with what it looks like now.
Right,
And even that is just beautiful. Anything where Superman is flying in the clouds, or there's a moment away from people, he's saving someone, or he's saving Lois, or he's just
right,
contemplating in the clouds. It's one of my favorite things. So to see that, Dennis,
right.
thank you very much. I'm glad you got that
You're welcome.
out of the loft to share with the world. That's beautiful.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And looking that up, I also found, and this is just to demonstrate a little bit. My father was also, I maybe forgot to mention, he was a big influence on me drawing because he was a painter himself. So he always encouraged me. Like I said, we used to draw stick figures together, and he could sometimes be a critic when I was drawing. He said, "Well, the proportion of that is right," or you know. And then one day he came home because my father was a big fan of the Fantastic Four and Silver Surfer and Spider Man and all that kind of stuff. So it was really his passion for those characters that got me into drawing. And I found this one day. He came home and he gave this to me as a gift. It's an oil painting of the Silver Surfer. So yeah, this is a precious piece to me.
I know it is. I know you've lost your father, as have I. So things like this truly they matter, and
Yeah,
that connection that you've got through your artwork now between you, it's it's a word that gets thrown around and was even used with the Superman film. It's legacy. It's knowing your legacy. It's seeing your journey as an artist go from the dining room table to walls all around the world, and that has got to do with your father's impressions on you. He's made that artwork come
oh,
alive. He saw
absolutely,
that
yeah,
creativity and he ran with it. Many people in this
yeah,
world they don't get to have their talents sort of shown off. They don't they doubt themselves a lot, which is it can be very problematic. But I love the fact that your father saw that in you and was like, right, let's work on this. Let's do this more. He's seen his
yeah.
and he got to see you creating that artwork as well, which was lovely. So it really means a lot that you've shared that artwork with me, Dennis.
Oh, you're welcome. You're
I'm
welcome.
I'm a big fan of your work, and I'm pretty sure that one day you will be sitting down having a coffee with Mr. Ross, talking about your artwork, talking about how
Well,
you've
I'm not
both.
too sure about that. Yeah,
Hey,
that will be
I
a
know
dream come true.
he's a big art fan, and artists always start from somewhere. I saw Jim Lee recently was talking about how much he was charging for commissions. You may have seen this online, and I mean the
I
fact that
didn't know.
well, bottom line of it, he charges quite a lot for a commission these days, which is fair enough. You get to that point in your life where your time is precious, as is
Right.
your artwork. But I feel that commissions, I've got a few over the years, and they are sort of prized possessions. But going back to you and Alex Ross, there's some sort of art bond there between the two of you that I think, never say never. When you are attending all these Comic Cons around the world in years to come, which I'm sure you will be, you never quite know who you're going to bump into. And as long as I bump into you, I'm not. I mean, more important about that, I would love to shake your hand one day and to sit down and watch you create your artwork, because
The honor would be mine. Thank you very much.
it's been impressive to see. That's for sure. Now I've had enough of your time today. I'm honored to even speak with you. I don't think this will be the last time we talk on the podcast. I'm sure we can talk about other things in the future. But a question that I absolutely adore asking my guests is what does Superman mean to you, Dennis?
What does Superman mean to me? Well, um, you know, if you can't appreciate Superman, because people tend to forget that, Superman was the first, of course, as you very well know. And before 1938, right? He was
Correct.
created in 1938. The concept of a superhero was just, people didn't know about it. It was like this bizarre sort of thing. And I can imagine that people in that time, when they walked up to a magazine stand, seeing a guy in blue tights and a red cape, it was like sort of, what is that?
Yeah.
It's so. And I always say, you got Superman at one end of the spectrum, you got Batman on the other, and all the other characters are sort of in
In
between
between.
that.
Yes.
So, if you can't appreciate Superman, it's like, he was our introduction into the superhero world, so to speak. So, yeah.
Very well put. Very well put. And as another bonus question, what does Batman mean to you, Dennis? I know you're a big Batman fan, so what does that
Yeah.
man mean to you?
Well, to be honest, I'm not a very big comic book reader. I grew up with the movies, the Christopher Reeves Superman, and the Tim Burton Batman movies, of course. And I remember just as a child, the impact that the Tim Burton Batman movies had on me was just, it was stunning. It was visually so interesting to
Yes.
look at, and it was something that was never done before, and it really left a mark on me. And I have so many, just like Superman, I have so many Batman drawings laying around, and it's just a fantastic character. And just like you said, there are so many directors now, trying to put their spin on their version of Batman. And then what I think is great about these characters is that they will probably still be alive long after you and I are gone, because every generation has a new Superman and a new
Yes.
Batman. So it's like, it's interesting to see, that every now and, especially the last one, the Batman by Matt Reeves. I think that was such a great film, the way it was made, and it had such an interesting visual style. I'm really looking forward to the Batman Part Two and the Penguin series coming up in HBO.
Yes. I absolutely adore Colin Farrell as an actor, whether it be comedy
Amazing,
or gritty
amazing stuff.
films.
Yeah,
But his interpretation of the Penguin is just so unique, and you can't really put the two of them side by side, because they are literally two different people. So yeah, that's
yeah.
another series that I'm really looking forward to seeing. Yeah, is the Penguin, and of course that Batman sequel. But you put it right. I mean, we're lucky enough to be in a position where we've seen heroes come and go, but that their story is still there. It's still being told, whether it be from
Yeah,
Batman, Superman, the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, the Hulk. We're still getting these characters, and we're getting new ones as well, which is fantastic. But it
yeah,
always seems to go back to Superman and Batman, which I like.
it's true. Yeah.
Where can people find you online, Dennis? Because I know people are going to want to watch your journey and see you progress as an artist. Where can they find you, sir?
People can find me on Instagram at Dennis Baptiste Art. You can find me on Facebook under the same name. That's basically it. That's my social medias. Yeah.
There'll be links to all your websites and your profiles in this podcast. And I'm still
Thank you.
very, very adamant that you're going to be meeting more people around the world very soon, Dennis. So thank you so
I hope
much for
so
your
too.
time today, sir. It's been an absolute
Well,
privilege. And I look forward to speaking to you more in the future, sir.
so do I. Thank you very much for inviting me, and it's been a nice chat. Thank you. Thank you very
You're
much.
very welcome. It's been a pleasure.